The void of space erupted in a violent symphony of light and destruction. Massive alien dreadnoughts, their sleek, iridescent hulls glimmering with energy, unleashed torrents of plasma fire that cut through the darkness like molten spears. The human fleet, dwarfed in size and firepower, moved with calculated precision, their ships darting between bursts of enemy fire like desperate fish evading a predator's jaws. On the bridge of the HSS Ardent Fury, Commander Ronan Kell gripped the railing as the ship shuddered under the impact of a near miss. The tactical display before him flickered with warnings: hull breaches, failing shields, and diminishing ammunition reserves. "Evasive maneuvers," Kell barked, his voice slicing through the chaos. "Keep us in their blind spots. Focus fire on their aft engines." From the observation deck, a brilliant explosion lit up the void as a Zenthar destroyer collapsed, in on itself, its experimental reactor detonating in a blinding cascade. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Sarah Maddox exclaimed. But there was no time to celebrate. Beyond the wreckage, the Zenthar flagship emerged, a monolithic behemoth bristling with weaponry, its main cannon charging with a glow that threatened to obliterate everything in its path. "Commander, Dr. Mira Voss, the ship's science," officer whispered urgently. "We're out of time." Kell's jaw tightened. "Then let's rewrite the rules." The Milky Way in the 32nd century was far from the serene expanse humanity once romanticized. It was a battleground of empires, each vying for dominance in a galaxy teeming with life. Advanced alien civilizations, their technologies centuries ahead of humanity's, dictated the ebb and flow of power, with humanity a fledgling participant in this cosmic arena. The Zenthar Dominion, an ancient and highly advanced empire, controlled vast swaths of the galaxy. Known for their meticulous strategies and overwhelming firepower, the Zenthar were both feared and respected. Their ships, sleek angular constructs powered by zero-point energy reactors, were unrivaled in speed and durability. Their soldiers, enhanced with biomechanical implants, operated with a hive-like precision. To the Zenthar, the galaxy was theirs by right, and humanity, a latecomer to interstellar travel, was nothing more than an inconvenience. Humanity had entered this stage by necessity, not ambition. Earth's resources had dwindled, forcing humans to explore and colonize beyond their home system. The United Terran Coalition, UTC, was formed, a fragile alliance of Earth's most powerful nations and corporations. Though technologically inferior to their alien counterparts, humans excelled in one crucial aspect: adaptability. This adaptability had been tested to its limits over the past decade. First contact with the Zenthar had been disastrous, with Earth's exploratory fleets annihilated in what the Zenthar deemed a necessary lesson in humility. Following this brutal encounter, humanity found itself on the defensive, its colonies burned and its fleets scattered. Yet despite their losses, humanity did not break. Instead, they innovated. Engineers retrofitted aging ships with experimental, cloaking devices and advanced weaponry scavenged from alien wreckage. Scientists pushed the boundaries of AI, creating tactical systems capable of predicting Zenthar movements. Diplomats sought alliances with fringe alien species, promising freedom from Zenthar oppression in exchange for aid. On the surface of Europa, deep beneath its icy crust, the UTC developed its most audacious project yet, Project Aegis. This experimental fleet, combining human ingenuity with reverse-engineered Zenthar technology, was humanity's last hope. Each ship was a marvel of engineering, designed to be faster, smarter, and deadlier than anything the Zenthar had ever faced. The Ardent Fury, one of the flagships of this new fleet, carried more than just weapons and crew. It carried the weight of humanity's survival. Commander Ronan Kell, a seasoned tactician, was chosen to lead this vessel. Once a humble officer on Earth's dwindling defense force, Kell had risen to prominence through his uncanny ability to outmaneuver superior foes. Opposing him was High Warlord Kethar of the Zenthar Dominion, a veteran of countless campaigns. For decades, Kethar had crushed rebellions and secured dominion over countless star systems. To him, humanity was an irritation, a pest to be exterminated. Yet even Kethar couldn't ignore the growing reports of human victories. minor skirmishes, where ragtag fleets had defeated superior Xenthar forces. As tensions escalated, the galaxy watched with bated breath. Many alien species, long subjugated by the Xenthar, saw humanity as a spark of hope, an underdog challenging the unassailable. Others dismissed humanity's efforts as fleeting, convinced that the Xenthar would eventually snuff them out. But the Xenthar's underestimation of humanity would prove to be their gravest mistake. In the cold vacuum of space, where strategy and resilience mattered more than brute strength, humanity was about to make its stand. The stakes were clear: survival or annihilation. And as the first waves of war began to ripple across the galaxy, it became evident that this was not merely a fight for humanity's future. It was a battle to redefine the balance of power in the universe. The war began like a faint whisper in the vastness of space, a small skirmish on the outer edges of human-controlled territory. A single Xenthar patrol fleet stumbled upon an experimental human outpost orbiting the gas giant Ragos 7th. The Xenthar, confident in their superiority, engaged the station. What they did not expect was the retaliation. From the station's shadow emerged a new class of Terran warship, the Spearhead, sleek and coated in an adaptive camouflage that distorted light. Its main weapon, the prototype plasma lance, cut through the Xenthar frigates like paper. In moments, the hunters became the hunted. This minor victory sparked a chain reaction. Humanity's hidden advances began to reveal themselves in the theater of war. In the following months, the Xenthar experienced losses they could scarcely believe, as their once unchallenged fleets began to falter against a species they had dismissed as primitive. Firaxis Prime, a heavily industrialized Xenthar world and a key hub for their fleet production, became the centerpiece of humanity's audacious campaign. Commander Ronan Kell, aboard the Ardent Fury, led a daring raid to disrupt the Xenthar supply chain. The plan was bold, bordering on suicidal: infiltrate the planetary orbit using cloaked frigates, deploy gravity mines to disable the Xenthar orbital defenses, and launch a precision strike against their largest shipyard. As the Terran fleet approached, tension rippled through the bridge of the Ardent Fury. All ships maintain formation, cloaking fields at maximum, Kell ordered, his voice steady. The alien station loomed ahead, a sprawling structure of angular, steel and shimmering energy barriers. Xenthar warships patrolled the area in meticulous patterns, their sleek forms casting long shadows over the planet below. "Gravity mines deployed," announced Lieutenant Maya Voss. On the ship's display, a grid of blinking markers indicated the mines' positions. Moments later, the first Xenthar cruiser crossed the field. The ship's gravitational stabilizers failed, sending it spiraling uncontrollably into the station's defense grid. The Xenthar response was swift, but the Terrans were ready. Emerging from their cloaking fields, the Terran fleet unleashed a barrage of railgun fire and plasma lances. The Xenthar ships retaliated, their zero-point cannons ripping through space, but their precision faltered in the chaos. The climax of the battle came when the Ardent Fury targeted the shipyard's central reactor. "Charge the plasma lance," Kell commanded, watching as energy coursed through the weapon's conduits. The beam fired, a blinding lance of energy that pierced the station's core. The resulting explosion shattered the structure, sending debris spiraling into orbit. Despite heavy losses, the Terrans had succeeded. The destruction of the Firaxis shipyard crippled the Xenthar fleet production for months, buying humanity valuable time. Humiliated and enraged, the Xenthar unleashed their wrath. High Warlord Kether himself took command of the counteroffensive. His strategy was ruthless: overwhelm humanity with sheer numbers and precision strikes on key Terran strongholds. The Xenthar's technological superiority was evident. Their fleets utilized gravitational distorters to manipulate space-time, creating fields that rendered Terran weapons ineffective. Their soldiers, enhanced with neural uplinks, fought with inhuman speed and coordination. The Terrans struggled to adapt. On the colony of Tyros IV, a critical manufacturing hub, Xenthar forces launched a devastating assault. Entire cities were leveled by orbital bombardments, and Terran forces were pushed to the brink. Yet even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity's ingenuity shone through. Engineers on Tyros 4 devised a makeshift weapon, EMP drones capable of short-circuiting. Zenthar enhancements. As Zenthar troops advanced, swarms of drones flooded the battlefield, neutralizing their implants and leveling the playing field. The turning point came at Kale-Thor Rift, a treacherous expanse of asteroid fields and gravitational anomalies. The Zenthar fleet, pursuing a retreating Terran convoy, entered the rift with overconfidence. Unbeknownst to the Zenthar, the convoy was bait. The Terrans had spent weeks preparing the battlefield, planting mines and hacking into the rift's gravitational anomalies to weaponize them. As the Zenthar fleet entered the rift, the trap was sprung. Mines detonated, sending asteroids careening into the alien ships. Terran vessels emerged from hidden positions within the field, attacking from all sides. The Zenthar fleet's cohesion faltered, their precise formations broke apart in the chaos, and their ships became easy targets for Terran railguns and missile salvos. Commander Kell, piloting the Ardent Fury, led the charge. "Focus fire on their flagship," he ordered. The battle raged for hours, but the Terrans emerged victorious. The destruction of the Zenthar fleet at Kale-Thor Rift was a stunning blow, proving that humanity could outmaneuver even the most advanced foes. From the Zenthar perspective, humanity's victories were baffling. How could a species with such rudimentary technology continually outwit them? High Warlord Kethar convened with his council, their holographic forms flickering in the dim light of his war chamber. "These humans are not as primitive as we believed," Kethar admitted, his tone laced with frustration. "They exploit our every weakness, turning their inferiority into an advantage." The Zenthar began to study humanity more closely, analyzing their tactics and psychology. What they discovered both intrigued and alarmed them. Unlike the Zenthar, who relied on rigid hierarchies and predictable strategies, humans thrived on unpredictability. Their decentralized command structure allowed for rapid adaptation, and their willingness to take risks bordered on recklessness. Despite their technological edge, the Zenthar realized they were facing an opponent that could not be underestimated. As the war escalated, the cost for humanity became evident. Every victory came at a price: lives lost, ships destroyed, and colonies left in ruins. On the bridge of the Ardent Fury, Commander Kell often found himself staring at casualty reports, the weight of command pressing heavily on his shoulders. "Was it worth it?" Maya Voss asked one evening, her voice tinged with exhaustion. Kell's response was somber but resolute. "Every battle we win is another day humanity survives. That's worth any cost." Despite the losses, morale remained high. For the first time, humanity felt hope. They were no longer mere survivors. They were contenders in a galaxy that had sought to crush them. And as the war continued, it became clear that the Zenthar had underestimated not just humanity's ingenuity, but their resilience, determination, and unyielding will to fight. The final battle unfolded on the edge of a dying star system, its unstable red giant pulsing with ominous energy. The Zenthar had assembled their largest armada yet, a force that dwarfed humanity's fleet in both size and technological sophistication. The Terran High Command knew that this confrontation would determine the fate of humanity. Either they would break the Zenthar's grip on the galaxy, or they would be extinguished. The battlefield. The system, designated Epsilon Serpentis, was a treacherous expanse of collapsing star debris and gravitational anomalies. It was a death trap for any fleet unable to navigate its volatile environment. Humanity, however, had chosen this battlefield deliberately. Commander Ronan Kell stood on the bridge of the Ardent Fury, his face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. The Terran fleet hovered at the edge of the system, a formation of heavily armed but outnumbered warships. "All ships, this is Kell. Remember, today we fight not just for survival but for the future of our species," he broadcast to the fleet. The Zenthar fleet emerged from hyperspace in a terrifying display of power. Thousands of ships materialized. In formation, their sleek, angular designs bristling with weaponry. At the heart of the armada was the Dominator, a dreadnought the size of a small moon, armed with a superweapon capable of obliterating entire fleets in a single strike. "This is High Warlord Kethar," the Zenthar leader's voice crackled. Over the comms, cold and disdainful. "Humans, your defiance ends here. Prepare to be eradicated." Unbeknownst to the Zenthar, humanity had spent months preparing for this battle. The Terran fleet wasn't here to win through brute force. They intended to exploit the unique conditions of Epsilon Serpentis to their advantage. Phase 1, Kell ordered. A contingent of stealth frigates broke off from the main fleet, their cloaking systems rendering them invisible. Their mission: to infiltrate the Zenthar formation and disable key systems aboard the Dominator. Meanwhile, the main fleet began a strategic retreat, luring the Zenthar deeper into the unstable system. The Zenthar pursued, confident in their numerical superiority. The first exchange of fire was cataclysmic. Zenthar ships unleashed waves of zero-point energy blasts, cutting through Terran ships with devastating precision. But humanity fought back with cunning. Swarms of automated drones flooded the battlefield, overwhelming Zenthar point defenses and targeting their shield generators. "Redirect power to forward shields," Kell barked, as the ardent fury absorbed a direct hit. The ship shuddered but held its position, firing back with railguns and plasma lances. As the Zenthar advanced, the gravitational anomalies began to take their toll. Terran engineers had hacked into the system's stellar remnants, creating artificial gravity wells that disrupted the Zenthar formations. Entire cruisers were torn apart as they strayed too close to the anomalies. Still, the Zenthar pressed on, their sheer numbers threatening to overwhelm the Terran defenses. The Dominator began charging its superweapon, a pulsating sphere of energy that grew brighter with each passing second. "Phase 2, Kell commanded. The stealth frigates infiltrated the Dominator, their crews racing through its labyrinthine corridors to reach the superweapon's core. Lieutenant Maya Voss led the infiltration team, her heart pounding as they encountered resistance. "Cover me!" she shouted, ducking behind cover as Zenthar soldiers opened fire. Her team fought with desperation, their experimental pulse rifles tearing through the enemy's neural uplinks. They reached the core, a massive reactor pulsing with unstable energy. "We need to overload it," Voss said, planting charges on the reactor's conduits. As the charges detonated, the Dominator's systems faltered. The superweapon's energy buildup spiraled out of control, threatening to implode. "Team to Ardent Fury, mission accomplished," Voss reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. With the Dominator crippled, Kell seized the opportunity. "All ships concentrate fire on the flagship," he ordered. The Terran fleet surged forward, their weapons tearing into the Dominator's exposed hull. Zenthar ships moved to protect their flagship, but their cohesion was shattered. Terran pilots exploited every gap, weaving through enemy lines with precision. The climax came as the Dominator's core reached critical levels. A massive explosion tore through the dreadnought, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The destruction of the Dominator was a turning point. Demoralized and disorganized, the Zenthar fleet began to retreat. Humanity had achieved the impossible. They had defeated the galaxy's most feared armada. As the debris of the Zenthar fleet drifted through space, the Terran fleet regrouped. The cost of victory was staggering. Dozens of ships were destroyed, and the casualty lists were long. Kell stood on the bridge of the Ardent Fury, the weight of the battle etched into his features. "Status report," he requested. "Severe losses across the fleet, but we're still standing," Voss replied. Kell nodded, his gaze fixed on the remains of the Dominator. "We've bought humanity a future, but the war isn't over. The Zenthar will return, and we need to be ready." The battle for Epsilon Serpentis became a defining moment in the war, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Though battered and bruised, humanity had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. As the Terran fleet prepared to return to their home systems, Kell allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The war was far from over, but for the first time humanity had hope. The battlefield that had once been a roiling expanse of laser fire and debris was now eerily silent. The Zenthar fleet, once an unstoppable armada, had retreated, leaving Behind the wreckage of their shattered pride and the smoldering remains of the Dominator, humanity had survived, not unscathed, but victorious in a way that no one, not even the boldest optimist, had predicted. Commander Ronan Kell stood on the observation deck of the Ardent Fury, gazing out at the remnants of the battle. The view was a grim mosaic of destruction. Hulking fragments of Zenthar warships, drifting Terran vessels, and the faint glow of the dying star casting long shadows over the debris field. The intercom crackled. "Commander, we've completed our scans. Survivors are being rescued, but the fleet's taken heavy losses," Lieutenant Maya Voss reported. Kell exhaled heavily, his shoulders slumping. "How bad?" 30% of our ships destroyed, another 40% severely damaged. The casualty list? It's long. Kell closed his eyes for a moment, letting the weight of her words sink in. And the Zenthar? Retreating beyond the sector. Their command structure is shattered. For now, they're no longer a threat. The victory was monumental, but the price was steep. In the ship's medbay, rows of injured soldiers and crew members lay on makeshift beds, their faces etched with pain and exhaustion. Medics worked tirelessly, their hands steady despite the overwhelming workload. Kell made his rounds, stopping to speak with crew members, offering words of encouragement. Many looked at him with a mix of gratitude and reverence, their expressions silently asking if their sacrifices had been worth it. "It wasn't just a battle we won today," Kell said to one injured officer. "It was a chance for humanity, to stand tall and show the galaxy what we're capable of." In the war room, the surviving commanders gathered to assess the situation. Holograms of the destroyed Zenthar fleet flickered above the table, alongside tactical readouts of the battle. "We didn't just outfight them, we outthought them," Voss said, her tone equal parts pride and exhaustion. "Every ship, every maneuver, every piece of experimental tech, it all came together." "And it only worked because of the people," Kell added. "Scientists, engineers, soldiers, every one of them refused to give up, even when the odds were impossible." There was a moment of quiet as the commanders absorbed his words. It wasn't arrogance that had saved them. It was humanity's relentless drive to survive and adapt. Far from Epsilon Serpentis in the heart of a distant Zenthar enclave, High Warlord Kethar sat in silence, reviewing the battle's aftermath. His war council, once brimming with confidence, now stood subdued. This was no victory. One of his generals said cautiously, "But neither is it the end. The humans are resourceful, but they remain fragile. We can regroup." Kethar raised a hand to silence the general. His expression, usually cold and calculating, now bore the faintest trace of something unexpected: respect. "They are more than resourceful," he said. "They are dangerous. For too long we underestimated their ability to adapt. This will not happen again." As the Ardent Fury and the remnants of the Terran fleet began their journey back to the Sol system, a sense of cautious optimism permeated the surviving crews. In the weeks following the battle, news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy. On Earth and its colonies, celebrations erupted as people finally felt a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness of war. In his private quarters, Kell recorded a message to the people of Earth. "We have faced the unthinkable and survived. Against the most powerful force in the galaxy, we stood united and proved that humanity is more than the sum of its parts. But this is only the beginning. The Zenthar will return, and the challenges ahead will demand even more from us. Today, we celebrate. Tomorrow, we prepare." As the fleet neared the Sol system, Voss approached Kell on the bridge. "Sir, there's something you should see," she said, handing him a datapad. Kell's brow furrowed as he read the report. A distant signal, faint but persistent, had been detected in another sector. It was unlike anything seen before, neither Zenthar nor human. "Another threat?" Voss asked. Kell stared out at the stars, his expression unreadable. "Or another opportunity. Either way, we'll be ready." The stars stretched endlessly before them, vast and full of mystery. Humanity had survived one war, but the galaxy was far from quiet. The Terran fleet had proven its worth, but the Isis' battles to come would demand even more. For now they sailed home, battered but unbroken, with their place in the galaxy newly defined. Humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated.